It's a God thing. Come on, it's a God thing. It's a God thing. Let the whole world know Jesus is real. He's real. It's a God thing. It's a God thing. Share your testimony. Hallelujah. Make it famous.
Welcome to our next episode of It's a God Thing. Today I'm so excited for our guest, Veronica Ortiz, who has an amazing testimony. You will find out why she chose the title, Choosing to Roar. I have with me my very good friend, Veronica Ortiz. Veronica, thank you so much for joining me here at It's a God Thing.
Thank you for having me.
You have an incredible testimony, and you know this is what we do here, just to bring wow stories to the world. And I've always been, it's been years, and I knew that one day you were going to be ready for this, to share your testimony, to share what God has done in your life. And so Veronica is like a little sister. She's a sister of my very best friend. So she's like a little sister to me too. I just told the whole world that I'm older than you. Gosh, I shouldn't have done that, but oh well. Anyhow. And you went through a very traumatic time in your life.
Yes.
And I remember like it was yesterday. It's been a few years now. And it's just so amazing to see you whole and healed and all of that. But it was very traumatic for all of us. Take us back to 6 years ago.
I was 23 years old at the time, and the incident happened on May 31st of 2010, and basically I was sexually assaulted by a friend, or I at the time considered him as a friend.
No, would you say it was date rape?
Yeah, right, right. And basically, from that point, I contemplated back and forth about having an abortion. I found out I was pregnant when I was working at the bank. I had to keep going to the restroom, which was very normal of me, and also drink a lot of water. And I was just like, why am I so dehydrated? I'm going through these emotions and internalizing and trying to process everything that happened.
Because, one, you got assaulted, so you had to deal with all of that.
Yes, and alone.
Right. You had not told the soul yet.
Nobody.
Okay.
You know, there was a lot of control manipulation going on.
Okay.
Because he was a big part of my life in the sense that he knew a lot of people in my life. He knew direct family members, and he had a lot of access to me. So he also knew how to control and manipulate.
Right.
And so he was constantly trying to make sure that every setting that he had a chance to be with me, that I was never once speaking about anything that happened, and that I was quiet. And I had to do according to what he said.
Right.
So
take me back to... You're assaulted, you're dealing with all of that. No one knows, you're dealing by yourself, and all of a sudden you find out you're pregnant.
Right. It was my branch manager actually asked me, "Are you okay? You just keep going to the restroom and drinking a lot of water. Is everything all right with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was just like, "There's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is." And so I was like, I'm gonna buy a take-home pregnancy test and just find out if there's a possibility that I'm pregnant. I don't want to think that. I don't want to believe that, because I'm not ready to deal with anything right now, because I'm just trying to hold it together and keep it normal, because this just happened to me. And I remember I took the pregnancy test, and it, sure enough, said it was positive. I'm sorry. And I remember feeling really scared. Automatically I was afraid. And I was like, this can't be right. You know, this test was wrong. So it gives you an extra test to take. Tells you not to take the test until a certain amount of time, but I was so desperate I was going to be taking it again. I freaked out right away. I was so afraid and scared. You know, here I am trying to cover something that happened because I don't want nobody to know, because I'm afraid everyone's going to be angry at me. And then on top of that, this happens. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I call my best friend at the time, and I'm telling her, you know, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. And I confided on 2 people, which were my best friends at the time. Yes. Okay. And
before you even found out you were pregnant.
Right. And they were like, they didn't know what to say. They were baffled. We're like, I don't know. You know, just calm down. It's going to be okay. But trying to process everything was just so difficult. And, you know, at the time, this person, like I said, was still close and still in my life. And I didn't know how to tell my family members and tell people that were in my inner circle he did this to me. So
he was
knew.
Still coming around your family.
Yes, and he knew that there was something weird going on with me. He was like, he noticed my behavior of constantly going to the restaurant, constantly drinking water, constantly feeling tired. So he saw that, and he had a red flag, like knowing something was up. And so he picked it up and knew that I was pregnant.
Right.
And so right away he was threatening and becoming violent about, that I needed to have an abortion. And I remember I knew. I was like, I'm only 23. This happened. There's no way.
So take me to, you tell him you're pregnant.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was at nighttime. I told him over the phone because he was trying to call me, text message me. I didn't respond to him. And he was starting to call other relatives and, trying to get a hold of me, basically get in contact with me. And they were like, hey, this person's calling me and asking for you. Why are you not, like, ignoring them? And so I didn't want to, bring confliction. So I finally, tell him, like, listen, I'm not in the best mood right now. I'm not able to talk. And when I did tell him, he was cursing, yelling, becoming very violent with me to the point that I remember I walked out of my house because I was just so, like, terrified, like, I didn't know how to deal with that. And I was just so, like, even that was just so overwhelming because he was very, like, toxic. Like, he didn't know how to talk or speak. He was just very degrading and demoralizing.
Right. So he told you need to get rid of it.
Right. He was like, I'm going to pay $500. Still remember. He was like, I'm going to pay $500 for you to abort this child.
Now, when you find out you're pregnant, was that a thought in your head? What immediately, where were you when, what were you thinking?
I was, like, honestly so afraid. I didn't know what to do. Like,
Did you think I need to have an abortion? Do you think I'm going to keep this baby? I mean,
I just kept thinking, I'm 23, there's no way I can have this child. I'm not ready to have a child. I'm not ready to raise a child by myself. I'm not ready for this. Why are you making me go through this? Wasn't it enough to go through what I went through? I learned my lesson. Why are you making me go through this now? Like, why do I have to face this? And I actually prayed and asked for a miscarriage. I didn't want to have a baby. And I was like, I want to miscarry this child. I don't want to have this child. I was very, like, I was trying to avoid the fact that this is happening to me. Because it was easier to avoid the trauma of being sexually assaulted. It's harder to avoid that when you're actually pregnant now through that assault.
Now, take us back. Did you end up going to a clinic? Did you maybe decide, okay, maybe it's better that I do abort this child? Because the miracle of the story is that you have a beautiful son right now, and you chose life and not death. So, I mean, this is why you're here. This is why she's here, because she chose life for this child. And you're a wonderful mother. And to me, that was the miracle. The miracle that throughout your hurt and throughout the pain and throughout everything that you've been through, you can still mother this child and be a wonderful mother to this child. So, but before even that, that's the end of the story. Was there a time when you thought it's better? Because the reality is that in the world's point of view, you are probably that justification for having an abortion. You're that one category that people would say, even people that don't believe in abortions would say, well, she was raped. It's okay for her to have an abortion because this child was born out of hatred and out of violence. Did you go through that thinking?
I had a friend that actually went through an abortion, and I got her perspective, and she was very raw and honest with me about what happened to her. And she explained the process that she went through, and she told me, personally, I think you should have the child. The worst thing to be is not a single mom. The worst thing to do is live with that.
Wow. And
then I talked to my sister. I just brief text. I asked her, what do you think about abortion? Just to get another perspective. And she was just like, there's this lady I want you to watch a video of. And the woman was a speaker for a program called Respect. And it's funny because that woman several years ago came to my middle school and spoke about being abstinent and how she was a rape baby and that she was adopted. So when I'm seeing the video, I'm like, I know this lady. Like, she came to my school and spoke.
Wow.
So my sister gave me that word, and I just felt like I was confirming that that wasn't the answer. No matter how easy that answer seemed, that solution would just be a quick fix. It wasn't a quick fix because I already knew that I was broken and hurting, and that was just going to break me even further and hurt me even more. And I didn't know if I could forgive myself. The funny thing is, I remember praying to God, and I remember God said, I'll forgive you because my grace can do that, but you won't be able to forgive yourself.
Wow.
That's the difference. And I realized, you're right, God. Like, how can I argue that? You know me. You know who I am. And I have a tendency of blaming and holding that kind of conviction over myself. So I saw myself just derailing if I went that route. And I was like, there's got to be another way. I cannot live with myself if I take my son's life or daughter's life. At the time, I didn't know what I was having. But also, God gave me, I felt like I heard the voice say, Judah, roar. I felt like I heard God tell me that 3 times. When I would cry and pray and close myself in the room. And my mom was just like, what is wrong with my daughter? What's going on with her? And that's all God would respond to me, is Judah, roar. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Wow.
You know, I didn't understand. And I remember a minister from Australia came to our church, and she began to preach. And in the middle of her service, she said, the Lord is speaking and saying Judah of war for someone in this church.
That's awesome.
And even my sister at the Bible study, I remember she stopped, and she had, like, there was a certain, like, drumstick on the table. And she's like, last week I was supposed to give you a word, Veronica, because you weren't here. So I had missed because I was going through all this emotional.
And she still, like, had no idea.
She had no idea. And she's like, the Lord told me Judah of war. And I was like, I was starting to get annoyed. I'm like, God, what are you saying? Like, out of everything that you could possibly say.
But just confirming that even in the midst of chaos and in the midst of all that pain and everything that you went through, God had a purpose.
Yeah.
What is your son's name?
Judah.
God named your son.
Yes.
Okay, Vero, I have to ask you, was there any time in your life where you felt like you even questioned the fact that you were able to love this child because he was a child of rape? And I know you adore him, and if you see him and you don't see that. But maybe for someone who might be watching, who might be going through the same thing that you're going through, I'm sure these are probably questions that go through someone's head. Did you ever have that fear?
In the beginning, I actually went through a lot of a depression to a point that I got so sick that I was like not doing well at all. I was vomiting, and there was a lot of negativity. Like I got a test back saying that there's a possibility it could be spina bifida or Down syndrome. And I remember at that point, the Lord gave a word to my sister, and my sister was telling me, you need to receive whatever God has done in your life. And just accept it. And, you know, if you continue to resist this and fight this, the enemy is going to attack your body and use your body against your son or your daughter, your womb. And so at that moment, I realized, you know, God, I got to surrender this to you, and I got to stop fighting and resisting. Because honestly, I know it sounds stupid, but I was in denial, and I didn't want to accept what was happening. I knew there was a child growing inside me, but I was like, I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to I don't want to be pregnant. I had those emotions over and over again. I wasn't excited and happy about it. And the hardest thing for me was seeing other people that were pregnant and had a spouse and were excited and had it the right way that you're supposed to have it. You know, and for me, it was always like an emotional thing. Like,
was there any time when that changed? Maybe the first time you felt some kick? Did that do something?
It actually, when I went to get the sonograph to see genetic counselor, and they were going to determine the sex of the baby and also find out if there was a diagnosis. When I found out that one, he was a boy, and then I found out that he was not ill at all, I rejoiced, I cried, I praised God, and I realized you got to get excited and start rejoicing. You know, this happened to you, and it's okay that you're sad and upset about it, but it's not okay that you're like also hurting the baby by being sad and depressed and emotional. You know, you gotta, if you're gonna lean on and trust in the Lord, you gotta walk this out in His faith and know that everything is gonna be met and supplied by Him, even though it didn't seem it. Because honestly, like, I would go and be like, how am I going to, I don't have anything for him. I don't have a crib. I don't have a room set up for him.
And God provided all that stuff, by the way.
And
tell me, I want to ask you, tell me the first time you ever held him.
The first time.
When you had him.
Yes.
And you held him.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was unreal. It was amazing because it was the first time that I, like, just realized love. I when I held him, it was warmth. And I just fell in love with him instantly. I just remember, like, they gave us medication. So they tell you, like, you may feel like nauseous and may want to vomit. And so they're like, let us know. And I'm like, trying not to. But after a while, I'm like, oh, you know, I felt sick. So they took away the baby. But I was, like, upset because I wanted to be with him.
Right.
And they had him in the NICU, and I was in another floor.
So the time when you had your baby, all of the bad experiences that you had before and all those bad thoughts, it was
God switched that off immediately.
Amazing.
The crazy part of it, I didn't even understand what was going on. I did not understand, because a lot of people ask me that. You didn't ever think this way, and it's just like all of a sudden, like this need to be with him. Like I was just like, I need to go to the other floor. I literally remember the doctor was just like, you just came out of major surgery. There's no way we could let you go to the floor. I'm like, I haven't seen my son since I delivered. And he was just like, okay, it's 3 a.m. We're going to put you in a wheelchair. We'll let you take your IV with you. You can go.
So you were a normal mother.
Yeah, I was like desperate.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how a lot of moms feel too when they just have their babies and stuff. But I asked that because it's just, that's the miracle of your story.
Yeah.
That really is the miracle you said.
He brought more healing than anything.
Right. And so, but I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you for just, you know, coming here and sharing your story. And just really quickly, maybe 1 minute, if someone's here who's watching and it's about to have an abortion or have been assaulted for whatever reason, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I would just say that you have to, like, look at all the options, and you know, this is probably the most unselfish thing that you have to do, is make a decision that doesn't just consider yourself. It actually, I know a lot of people say this is your body, but you have to consider it for everyone, including yourself and that child. And so maybe at that time, it doesn't feel like you should have the child, but I would say pray and ask God to let you know whom you can tell, that you can trust that information with, and confide in, and get direction, get a good support system, and get educated. Find out your options. Abortion is not an option. Adoption is an option. Asking for help, going into social services. There's so many different programs in different states set up to help women and children and families. So please never feel like that is an option automatically, because the decision you're about to make is going to be a lifetime decision, and it is going to change you forever. But for me, I can say that it changed me for the best, and it's made me who I am today.
And we're so proud of you. And this handsome little boy. What is your name?
Judah.
Judah, how old are you?
6.
6 years old. And you are kindergarten or first grade?
Kindergarten.
So you know your ABCs?
Yes.
Do you know how to read yet?
Yes.
You do? That's awesome.
I read a book and I know how to read it.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Can you have a hug? And this is the wrap up. And we'll say bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
We're here back with our wrapping thoughts. And Veronica, you actually shared something with me that I thought was so important, very pivotal, and I definitely want you to share with the audience.
Well, it was definitely a God thing, because 30 days prior to the whole assault happening, I was at a park in Lake Yola, and I was with at the time my boyfriend. We were walking around, and there was a gentleman that stopped us, and the man was like, I'm honestly not here to prophesy over you, but the Lord just gave me that word for you. But I'm actually here today because I'm having people sign the petition to not allow abortion to be done in the United States.
Wow.
And that there should be laws to protect unborn children. So basically, I signed the petition.
Wow.
Agreeing with his point of view. And
you have no idea. And a month later,
and this
you find out that you're pregnant.
Yeah.
because of a date rape.
Right.
And now you're faced with that decision for you.
Right. Yeah.
But I just thought it was just so cool how God just ordained them, because it's such a God thing.
Right.
It really is. And I just want to encourage you, if you're watching this video and you're going through that, you're pregnant, you feel alone, you've been assaulted, whatever it is, choose life. We Christians believe that God is the creator of life, and the Bible says that God knew you before you were even in your mother's womb. And so he created you, and he has a purpose and a plan, and he's got a purpose and a plan for Judah.
Yes.
Even though the circumstances into what he came into this world didn't make sense to us, but even in that, he still has a purpose and a plan for him. So thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.